Let's play 7 and 11. You have 11 seconds to say 7 things from a category. Grant, your category is U.S. states. Ready? Go.
North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, Arkansas, South Dakota.
Well done. Anita, your category is colors. Go.
Red, orange, green, blue, teal, black, white, those are protected, and orange.
Well done.
That was 8.
Okay.
Zander, your category is articles of clothing.
Shirt, shoes, socks, pants, dress, hat, glasses.
Musical instruments. Go.
Saxophone, trombone, trumpet, clarinet, xylophone, kazoo, didgeridoo, and djembe.
I know. Wow. No, he has to have
snack foods.
Salami, ham, turkey, crackers, and the wheat thins, and those crackers with the things, Triscuits, biscuits.
Too late. You are out. Pizza toppings. Go.
Anchovies, cheese, pepperoni, tomatoes, pineapple.
Out.
I just lost my balance.
Grant, for the win. Plagues on Egypt from the Bible. Ready? Go.
Flies, frogs, candied apples, like some little baby horses, tiny horses or something like that. That's all we got. That's all we got. There we go. There we go.
After meeting with the Israelites to let them know that God had heard their cries and was coming to their rescue, Moses and Aaron delivered God's message to Pharaoh. "Let my people go." But Pharaoh refused because God had hardened his heart. Instead of showing mercy, Pharaoh was cruel and made the work and lives of the Hebrew slaves even more difficult than before. The showdown was at hand between God and Pharaoh. Who was the true king? Who was all-powerful? Whose command could not be ignored? God told Moses not to fear, but instead prepare to witness his mighty power as he forced Pharaoh to let his people go. The next morning, Moses again came to Pharaoh, and again Pharaoh refused to let the Hebrew people go. So, at the Lord's command, Moses told Aaron to stretch his staff over the Nile River, and the waters turned to blood, causing the fish to die and the waters to become undrinkable. But Pharaoh's heart hardened further, so God sent a second plague. This time, frogs covered every inch of the land. This became so unbearable that Pharaoh begged Moses and Aaron to make this plague stop. The morning of the following day, Moses returned to Pharaoh and commanded him to let God's people go. And again, Pharaoh refused. God had Aaron strike the dust with his staff, and gnats swarmed the land, covering both people and animals. When Moses came to Pharaoh again the next day, Pharaoh again refused Moses' request to let the people go. In response, God sent a fourth plague, flies. Like a black cloud, flies covered every part of Egypt, except where the Hebrew slaves lived, spoiling the land and entering every Egyptian's house, including Pharaoh's palace. Once again, Pharaoh pleaded with Moses and Aaron to end this plague. God sent Moses to Pharaoh again, but Pharaoh still refused to listen to God. The next day, God sent a severe plague upon the Egyptians that killed their donkeys, camels, herds, and flocks. This hardened Pharaoh's heart even more against God. Again, God sent Moses to Pharaoh. When Pharaoh refused God's command yet again, Moses threw soot into the air, and it became dust that covered the land of Egypt, causing all the people in Egypt to break out into painful sores. Pharaoh's heart, hardened by God, made it so he continued to disobey God's command to let the Hebrew people go. God told Moses to go back to Pharaoh and warn him that the coming plagues would be much more destructive and harsh than the last. But Pharaoh still wouldn't listen. When Moses stretched his hand toward heaven, God sent a hailstorm unlike any that had ever been seen before in the land. It destroyed plants and homes and killed animals and people. Pharaoh confessed that he was wrong. But again his heart hardened, and he rejected God's command. Then God sent a plague of locusts. These insects covered the land and devoured the last remaining plants and trees in Egypt, leaving the once lush farmland surrounding the Nile a barren desert wasteland. Pharaoh was still unwilling to release God's people, so at God's command, Moses stretched his hand up to the sky, and a heavy darkness swallowed Egypt. For 3 days, no Egyptian saw another person or left their house. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron so he could try to make a deal to end the plague of darkness. Pharaoh said everyone could go to worship the Lord if all the Hebrew people left their flocks and herds behind. When Moses and Aaron refused this offer, Pharaoh commanded them never to come back or they would be killed. With the people still enslaved, God told Moses there would be one final plague, a plague so severe Pharaoh would have no choice but to free God's people.
The story of God sending plagues on Egypt is one of the most famous stories in the entire Bible, and it's easy to see why. A river turning to blood, millions of frogs, swarms of gnats and flies. And God did all of it to demonstrate his power. God is omnipotent, which is a fancy word that means all-powerful. And he wants to use his power to help you. You just have to plug into him. Imagine that you're a lamp. Do you have any ideas for why this lamp is not on right now? Yeah, it's not plugged in. There's no power going into it. Now, you could try plugging it into itself. It's not really working. You could plug it into another lamp. Let's see if that works. No, okay. You could try plugging it into a cord that's plugged into an electrical socket. Let's see if this works. Hey, we have power. Your life is just like this lamp. If you want power in your life, you've got to plug into the right place. Now, some people say, I'm gonna trust myself, find my strength from myself. But that's kind of like plugging a lamp into itself. It won't really work. Others say, I'm gonna trust the people around me and find strength from other people. But that's kind of like plugging a lamp into another lamp. It also doesn't work. If you want real power in your life, trust God. Find strength from God. Plug into God's power. Let him fill you and give you the power to face anything in life. Here's some simple ways to plug into God's power this week. Pray it. When you pray, you talk to God and you invite his power into your life. So say a prayer of worship, telling God how wonderful and powerful he is. Read it. The Bible is God's words to you, and they have power. Read the story of the first few plagues from the book of Exodus, chapters 7 through 8 in the Bible, and tell God your favorite part and why you liked it. Journal it. Write a letter telling God about some of the times that you've had trouble following him, and then ask him to give you the power to do what he wants you to do. Draw it. Draw a picture of just one of the plagues that God sent on Egypt, and then below that picture, write the words, God is all-powerful, so I can go to Him for help. Now, you can find all of those activities in the description, but this week, practice plugging in to God and see His power light up your life.